Hello, welcome to the morning news. Our top story takes us to Bolivia. President Evo Morales offered Telesur an exclusive interview. He praised Pope Francis and his concerns for the poor and most vulnerable sectors of all societies. Morales also thanked him for his support for a peaceful solution to the sea access disputed with Chile. The president said he was satisfied with the international support Bolivia has received regarding the country's right to a sea access. Evo Morales also criticized the United States for backing coups and coup attempts in Honduras, Venezuela, Argentina, Bolivia, and most recently in Ecuador.
The U.S. still does not forget the ways in which it can subjugate us. There have been coups against Chavez in Venezuela. They tried here, but we defeated them. They tried in Ecuador.
We continue in Bolivia, where Pope Francis is carrying out the second leg of a Latin American tour. During the next few hours, we'll take him to Paraguay. The pontiff was hailed by hundreds of thousands, as well as during his visit to Ecuador. He harshly criticized capitalism and urged Latin America to continue its fight against it. He reiterated that capitalism is responsible for the damage to the environment around the world. The Pope also recognized the Church's responsibility in the massacre of the indigenous people in Latin America during the Spanish colonization.
I humbly ask for forgiveness, not only for the offenses of the Church herself, but also for crimes committed against the native peoples during the so-called conquest of America.
Our correspondent in Bolivia, Raul Mora, has more on the Pope's visit.
Tens of thousands attended Pope Francis' Mass on Thursday in a public square in the Bolivian city of Santa Cruz. In his sermon, he spoke against consumerism, individualism, and the turning aside of those in need. He cited a passage of the Bible that described how Jesus took pieces of bread and fish, blessed them, and then shared them with the poor.
Certainly, it is not magic or idolatry. Jesus, through his three actions, is able to transform a logic of discarding into a logic of communion and community.
In his address, the Pope once again criticized selfish aspects of capitalist societies and called for the caring of those in need. Most of those in the audience were delighted with the event, the charisma of the Pope, and his powerful message.
I think it was excellent. The Pope talked about social inclusion, and that is something very important with regards to economic growth.
The tenderness he has in the manner he addresses all the people is different, especially his humility. He always wants to be with the people, close.
He's more communicative. He has more contact with the people, with all the people, and the messages reach more people. They are more profound.
Unfortunately, not everyone that came to the Mass in Santa Cruz was able to see the Pope, and few were able to see him well. Many claim they will continue to attempt to see him in the upcoming events through Friday. He continues his Latin American tour on Saturday, traveling to Paraguay. Raul Mora, Telesur, Bolivia.
And here's a news roundup across Latin America. We begin in Peru.
Thousands of workers, students, and business people took to the streets to protest against corruption, insecurity, and low wages. The rally was peaceful and ended at the presidential palace, where a document with demands was delivered. The minimum wage in Peru is about $240 a month. Protesters are asking for just over $470.
No more lies, no to corruption, no to impunity. That's what we're asking for, as well as for security and the respect of our labor rights and the rights of the people.
Colombian President Juan Manuel Santos continues to reject proposals toward peace being made in the peace talks in Havana by the leftist negotiators of the FARC rebel movement. He has refused to accept a bilateral ceasefire. The rebels have called a unilateral truce anyway. He warned the 50-year war that has left 220,000 dead in Colombia will continue if the insurgents insist on amnesty.
We explained to the FARC that there can't be, and there won't be, the blanket amnesty they're asking for.
After a meeting with families of the 43 forcibly disappeared Ayotzinapa students, Mexico's Attorney General Arely Gomez announced her office will reopen the case of the missing youth. The investigation was determined to have ended by Gomez's predecessor Jesus Murillo Caram. It has been almost 10 months since the students were abducted by police and allegedly handed over to a drug gang. The remains of only one of them have been found. In Greece, left with no viable alternative, Prime Minister Alexis Tsipras has been forced to bow to pressure and announce last-minute concessions to try to save his country from financial meltdown. He appealed to his party's lawmakers to back the tough reforms package he has to put together that includes tax increases and pension cuts. Parliament is presently debating his proposal, which includes a petition for almost $60 billion to cover the country's debt until 2018. France has held his decision.
The Greeks have just shown their determination to remain in the Eurozone, since the program they are presenting is serious and credible.
Over 20 million people in Yemen are facing a serious humanitarian crisis due to the war that worsened late March after Saudi Arabia began airstrikes on the country. Due to this, the UN has mandated an unconditional truce beginning midnight this Friday. International relief organizations will have 1 week to deliver aid to as many people as possible before the ceasefire ends July 17th. Over 3,000 civilians have died since March due to the violence. And again in the United States, police brutality has been exposed. A video on YouTube shows how about 12 Philadelphia police officers brutally beat on an unarmed black man. The incident occurred in April. The victim, Tyreek Carroll, has been in jail since July, charged with aggravated assault and resisting arrest. Another case surfaced in New York City as well. Black teenager Troy Canales was beat up outside his home for no reason by Bronx police officers. The boy is autistic. His family is suing the New York City Police Department.
We end with sports. Mexico is not so happy with its 6-0 victory over Cuba in the Gold Cup being disputed in the United States. The Cuban head coach, the team's doctor, and 6 of the best players were not allowed in the U.S., allegedly because of visa problems. The island squad has been forced to face its CONCACAF rivals with only 16 players. 2 of them are goalkeepers. In contrast, Mexico has all of its best players, including Javier Chicharito Hernandez, Carlos Vela, and Oribe Peralta. More on these on our website, telesurtv.net/English. Thank you for watching and have a nice weekend.